Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another review. And yes, this is a review. This is a marathon I started back after Christmas. But I got a shit ton of movies for Christmas, and since that my marathons are all fucked up. But I am now getting back to the Universal Monsters. And with this review, going back to 1954 with Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is one of the most famous Universal monsters, was part of the box set. I still have this series, the Invisible Man sequels, Spanish Dracula, and the Abbott Costello films. So slowly I'm getting back into the Universal Monster films. I got hooked on Hammer for a while, but... So Creature from the Black Lagoon, this actually came in really late as far as Universal Monster films go. I mean, the 3 films came out in 1954, 5, and 6. Only had 3 films. Which, by the 50s, Universal Monsters were essentially dead, with the exception of maybe the Abbott Costello films. I mean, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman. After World War II, monsters weren't really scary anymore. They weren't selling. People weren't really into monster movies. It was a trend that just kind of died out. But then in the 1950s, it was like this resurgence. It also came after World War II. Science fiction horror was really taken off. Sort of biology gone wrong or nuclear threats, whatever. Of course, this isn't that. This is a prehistoric creature. So they kind of took a stab at that and did Creature from the Black Lagoon. And this was the last of the Universal Monsters. Because in 1956... Well, actually, there's an Abbott Costello film, I think in 55 and 58, I think is the latest one. But Creature Walks Among Us, when that came out in 56, Universal, that ended their cycle of monster films. And then in 57, Hammer came in. But even though Black Lagoon, it came in as late as it did, has the least amount of films, the gill-man is one of the most recognizable and beloved of all horror movie monsters. I mean, it ranks up there with Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman. He's just as popular. And I can see why it's a great look. I mean, I remember being a kid. I actually looked it up recently because I was curious. Back in 1997, because I looked it up, which I was in kindergarten, but I remember Burger King actually had a big thing of Universal Monsters. They even had toys of each monster, and I only had one, and it was the gill-man. Now, I had seen all the monster films, at least the first, of each monster before I got the box set for Christmas. This is the only one I had not actually seen. I have seen Revenge of the Creature, the first sequel, because I saw that by accident because I was watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. And it wasn't until I actually saw the creature that I realized it was the sequel. But it came out in 1954, and of course this was the wake of 3D. 3D was a new thing around mid-1953. In fact, I believe House of Wax was the first film, to be released in 3D. But, I'm just reading up on something. I guess it was producer William Allen, who was he producer of this film? Yep. There's a filming of during the filming of Citizen Kane. There were talks of a myth of half fish, half human creatures in the Amazon River. And this producer, William Allen, kind of took notes of Sea Monster and Beauty and the Beast. And sort of what came of that was this film. And for the most part, it's a really straightforward film. I mean, it's a group of scientists. They find this, it's not really a fossil, kind of like a fossilized hand of the gill-man. And there's still some webbing between the fingers. And they're not sure what species it is, so they go into the Amazon and just happen to stumble upon the gill-man. A lot of the scenes are done underwater. We don't really get a good look at the creature outside of water up until the very end, I believe. I just got done watching it. It's mostly underwater. I do like the build-up, though. Like, a lot of times it's just like the creature's hand. And then the first time we see him in full form is underwater. And there was 2 actors that played the creature. There was an actor that played him out, like on land, which that was Ben Chapman. He played the on land gill-man, and Riku Browning, I think is how you pronounce his name, Riku, played him underwater, but he also played him in both sequels. What else was he in? 20,000 Leagues. Oh, he's basically a stuntman. He's kind of like a Kane Hodder kind of guy. So yeah, that's cool. And the Beauty and the Beast aspect would come in because Julie Adams plays Kay Lawrence. She's sort of the damsel in distress, I guess, who the gill-man is after. And there's not really a whole lot to get into plot-wise, because, I mean, it really is, for the most part, a group of scientists on this boat in the Amazon. And at one point, 2 guys go down. One is sort of like the introverted scientist with this big-ass camera. The other one is more of the kind of assertive and ambitious one who has the harpoon gun. That's the first time we see the gill-man. And I guess Riku Browning, I guess one of the reasons why they hired him was because he could hold his breath. I read somewhere, I think it was, he was required to hold his breath for 3 minutes, but ended up having to hold it for like 4 because of some of the scenes that they did, which is astounding. I mean, I have asthma, so you can imagine how long I would have lasted. But I wonder who actually did the makeup in the suit. Took 14 hours a day. Oh, wait. The costume made it impossible for Chet. Oh, he couldn't sit for 14 hours a day while he was wearing it. And it overheated easily. And they shot it in the summer, so he was always asking to be hosed down. He couldn't see very well. He scraped Julie Adams' head. Oh, he's carrying her into the grotto, that famous scene. He actually scraped her head against the wall because he couldn't see very well. But also, when you look at Riku Browning's movements in the water, like, this thing could not have been very flexible or, you know, he could have made it easy to swim in, but he did it. And it's basically just a Beauty and Beast kind of movie. Where towards the end it is, but and where this movie really shines, it is the underwater scenes. And I would say that's the most interesting part. It's the creepiest. I mean, one of my fears is, I live in Maine where all water's shitty and dark anyway. You can't see anything. Is not knowing what's with you or under you in the water. And that, I always thought was just a creepy look for a monster. So, the underwater scenes is definitely the highlights of the film. I know this isn't a very in-depth review, but it's more straightforward than, say, Frankenstein, Dracula, or The Invisible Man. It really is just, scientists go into this area, there's this legendary creature, and they find him. But that's really it. I did enjoy it, though. It's not to say it's a bad movie. It's easy to see how it stood the test of time and how it's just as remembered as all the other big monster movies. Because in the 50s, that was also when they were doing, I think Tarantula was out. I think Them was out. There was a lot of more so biological creature features and science fiction. But this one is definitely the most original of the time, I would say. But I still have 2 more movies to watch. I have seen Revenge. Like I've said, I don't really remember anything from it. But, so yeah. Kind of a short review. Sorry, I'm kind of tired anyway. Burnt out from the work week. But, yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon. But, thank you for watching.